Hello and welcome to another Small Gold live stream. Today is the last day of August. It is August 31st, Friday night, 2018. Tonight's topic, the coming merger of crypto exchanges, e-commerce, and social media platforms. And what that's going to mean. There's a couple of new announcements that got me thinking on this topic. We're going to get your thoughts on it as well. Now, gold closed today at 1200, down a bit, but it was silver that took a bigger hit. Silver opened the day at about 1456 and closed at about 1451. Not much of a hit, but silver went down and gold went down a little less. Point being is that the gold-silver ratio is now at 82.5. Now, over on the cryptos, they moved up a bit today with Bitcoin at about 7,050, up about 1.5%. Ethereum flat at 283. Bitcoin Cash at 545, pretty much flat or up a percentage point. And Litecoin up to around 62, up around 3%. All right, let's take a look now at our topic. And what got me thinking on the coming merger of crypto exchanges and social media platforms was the announcement the other day that Yahoo had integrated the buying and selling of Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and wait for it, Dogecoin on its platform. Now Yahoo is essentially a search engine and a bunch of content, and that announcement is somewhat significant only because it's opening up the cryptocurrencies to a wide audience and the ability to buy and sell them. But this discussion is not about Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Dogecoin and their exposure and mass adoption and all that. It's about something much bigger than that. It's about the concept of large internet platforms merging together and gaining greater control over your data. So currently, there's 4 large platforms, and they are your e-commerce platforms, your social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter. E-commerce would be Amazon, things like that, Netflix, where you buy products, whether digital or otherwise. So Netflix, you'd be buying videos, watching videos. Amazon, you can watch videos. You can buy stuff, physical stuff. You can buy tractors. You can buy food. And you can also stream music and videos. And then there's your social media platforms where most what you do there is you provide content to the platform. They don't really provide anything to you other than a place to go, talk to your friends, and give your opinions. And then there are payment systems or e-commerce, or payment systems like Visa, PayPal. And now, lately, you have part of the system, because they are connected now, cryptocurrency trading platforms like Coinbase, and there's tons of them. And they will allow you to buy cryptocurrencies with credit cards. They'll allow you to sell on their platform your cryptocurrencies and then convert them or send the proceeds in fiat to your bank account. So you've got your e-commerce platforms, your social media platforms, and your payment system platforms. And then on top of all that, you have your search engines. So your search engines, and there's really only one, and that's Google. And they don't really do much with your data in a sense that they may track your search habits. But a search engine isn't just a search engine because, as we know, Google is tied into your email and your search habits, so they can see where you go. And essentially how Google makes money, and then they also own YouTube, is Google makes money by collecting data. But Google, for the most part, doesn't sell you anything, and Google doesn't have any payment system. Well, they do have that Google Pay. So you can see how they're starting to, each of these platforms, we're going to go through them, have elements of the others, but they don't have it all rolled up into one. Let's start with the social media, because the social media platforms are right now what we know about. they're in the news today. We see that a social media platform like Facebook or YouTube or Twitter can manipulate your content, what you see and what you don't see, and prevent you from being heard or prevent you from hearing things they don't want you to see. And all that's pretty obvious what the dangers are in that. And also, we know that they collect your data. And for the most part, Twitter doesn't sell you anything. Facebook doesn't sell you anything. And Facebook and Twitter don't have payment systems, although Jack Dorsey at Twitter owns a company called Square, which is a payment system. Now, unless if he's like Elon Musk, maybe he'll merge the two companies together like Elon Musk did with SolarCity and Tesla. So social media platforms collect your data and then they sell that data to advertisers. And recently they've been trying to work to sell your data to the credit card companies. Now the danger in social media platforms having all your data, while it's dangerous, it's not debilitating. Unless you're a content provider and you monetize the content that you put on there, the fact that it doesn't get seen or heard isn't that big of a deal for 90% of the people, because you're not really economically harmed, and that you don't get to put a meme up that everyone sees. You don't get to criticize Bill Clinton or Donald Trump, and not everyone hears your clever tweets or your Facebook posting. It's a big deal in a sense that it's an injustice, but it's not as if your life is actually harmed. It's harmed in an intangible way. But it does highlight that they can deplatform you. And it is important to companies or content providers who actually earn a living posting things on Twitter and Facebook and the like. For everyone else, it's bad, but again, it's not the end of the world. And to the extent that you are on these platforms, you can find other places eventually to get your points across. You could talk to people. You're not fully shut down. But that gets a little more dangerous now when we go over to e-commerce. When you're on an e-commerce platform like Amazon, not only do they have your data, they got your money. And Amazon also has a credit card. So Amazon is much further up the food chain than the social media platforms that only have your data. Amazon has your data and your spending patterns, and even has a credit card. Now here's the danger with a company like Amazon, and they're nowhere near doing this, but Amazon can decide they don't want your business. Now when you're deplatformed on social media, you're cut off from your opinions. But if you're deplatformed on a e-commerce site, you could be cut off from your stuff and your food and your digital media. So if Amazon decides for political reasons or for whatever reasons that they are not going to allow you access to your film library, your music library, same with Netflix, they can steal your stuff. They can come up with a reason and they can say you can't have this anymore. And they can cut off your credit card if they're issuing a branded credit card. And if you're relying on a pantry items to come to your house, they may decide they're not going to send them to you at all. So now you could see how if e-commerce companies went the way of social media companies and decided to start manipulating, you say, well, they would never do it. They have a profit margin. Well, you would think that Facebook and Twitter would have a profit reason, and you think they would show you what you want to see, and they let you say what you want to say, otherwise you'd go elsewhere. They don't. Why? Because either they have alternative reasons, or they don't care, or one of the things we talked about the other day is if a company can still exist and make money by the stock price going higher, even though they don't make money, they don't really care if they make money as long as they can explain away why the company isn't making money. So the dangers of a social media company is they kick you off the platform. Okay, not good at all. But if an e-commerce company were to kick you off your platform, well, then you'd lose something. You'd lose your digital libraries, and you may even lose the ability to buy from that company. You could say, well, big deal. Well, you buy somewhere else. Okay, maybe you can, but maybe you're going to have to pay more if you buy somewhere else. Maybe you're going to have to, you've got all your stuff saved on one place where you can buy all your food. A lot of people buy their food from Amazon, and then they don't leave the house except for other items, and it's cheaper for them to work that way. And there's businesses who do the same. The other systems are the payment systems. Here's where you can get cut off from your money. Visa, MasterCard, they can decide that you can't use their credit card because you bought a gun with it, you bought something that they didn't like, or because Amazon tells them, we don't want them using your credit card, and since we send 15% of your payments, we want you to cut that person off. And then Visa says, well, that's fine. We don't need their business. Anyway, we have a monopoly in credit cards, Visa and MasterCard. Now, here's where cryptocurrency comes in. And this is the story that caught my eye, that got me thinking about this. You guys probably haven't heard of this company. It's a Japanese e-commerce company called Rakuten. And they had an announcement today, and I want to read the announcement to you, and you'll see how this is an e-commerce company that is going to buy a cryptocurrency trading platform and, in a sense, start to run its own payments through its e-commerce. Here's what it says. Rakuten announces today that it decided to acquire Everybody's Bitcoin. They don't mean everybody's Bitcoin. It's Everybody's Bitcoin trading platform. The acquisition is based on a stock purchase agreement between Rakuten and Cardco, the company that owns Everybody's Bitcoin. Here's the purpose, they say. The Rakuten Group currently does not limit its activities to e-commerce. So remember, we talked about e-commerce. That's like Amazon and Netflix. And that's kind of what they have. They have a website. You can buy all kinds of stuff from Rakuten in Japan. But offers over 70 diverse services. From internet services such as travel, digital content and communications, to fintech financial services such as credit card, banking, securities, insurance, and electronic money. These various services cover a wide range of life scenes and are organically linked together around membership. Now think about it. You're with Rakuten Group. You got a membership there. You've got your e-commerce going on. You've got your digital library there. You do banking through one of their subsidiaries. You get your insurance through them. And now they figure you can pay also through their, if they think cryptocurrencies are going to take off, you start trading on this Everybody's Bitcoin platform. And now you do one thing wrong, all of your services can be cut off. So they say that they encourage cross-use activity by users within the group services. And now they want to expand excuse me, their unique Rakuten ecosystem. So what Rakuten is doing is they're taking the e-commerce, they're moving into the payment systems, and now all they're missing really is the social media. But in a sense, the social media is unwieldy, and advertisers will tell you this, that the information that you get from Facebook and from Twitter isn't as good because you don't have their purchase history. You don't really know how much money they make like you would if you were Rakuten and you had to know thy customer. You had to figure out how much money they make, like credit cards. They see your credit history. Facebook and Twitter, they don't have that information. So it's less important, I think, for an e-commerce company that merges with a payment systems to tack on a social media platform. But really, there's nothing stopping them from doing it because they have the data and they have the customers. And indeed, I'm not trying to give them any ideas. If they wanted to, they can open up groups for people that they've already pre-established. They can invite you to the the rich guy group, because they know that you're the rich guy, and they can have all types of platforms designed to send people there, and they can have their social media there. The social media there, they can figure out all types of things, and they can invite you to the middle class guy, or the what you could see how they can come up with, based on your profile, where they want to send you in the social media. And next thing you know, you have one company providing you with your e-commerce, your social media platform, and your payment systems. And that could either be through credit card or through your cryptocurrencies. So this is the thing I was been saying about cryptocurrencies, is how they can try to co-opt it by bringing it all in together, because cryptos aren't worth anything unless they can be used in commerce. And even commerce isn't enough if you really want that one-stop shop convenience of having everything in one place, like Rakuten Group is, I hope I'm pronouncing the name right, is attempting to provide, which is internet services, travel, digital contents and communication, fintech, financial services, credit card, banking, securities, insurance, electronic money, and now cryptocurrency trading, and of course cryptocurrency payments. So the risk I see here is that if you're deplatformed from Twitter and Facebook, it is a boo-hoo, but it's not the end of the world, again, unless you are a content provider who is actually making a living and you're being kicked off your platform. But once e-commerce companies and payment systems join together, and as I mentioned, Twitter could join forces with Square, and then there's going to be nothing stopping Twitter and Square from then opening up e-commerce. That's probably why Twitter, I don't know, Twitter's been booting off a lot of people, but one of the things you would think is that they don't want to boot off people because they're losing customers. However, remember, they're never going to boot off more than 1% of the people. The people that they toss from YouTube and from Facebook and Twitter, while it may be thousands, because they have billions of users, it doesn't affect them really. It would only affect them if booting a user actually lost them views, lost them customers. Now, an e-commerce company or a payment system company, they have no trouble kicking you off, again, if it's only small numbers that they're kicking off, because without the social media component, no one will even know you've been kicked off. So this is where I see this going. I think you're going to see, you saw Yahoo, which is a search engine, content provider, now adding this payment, this buy, sell, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum. We now see this Japanese e-commerce company, Rakuten, saying we need to offer Bitcoin trading, and we want them, obviously, then to take their Bitcoin if they want to buy stuff on Rakuten. That's great. We can put it all in one, what they call, ecosystem. So the danger of being deplatformed on one of these ecosystems is, or the damage that can be done, is far greater than just being kicked off of Twitter. Now, the other way that this could go, and I think it's behind, is decentralized platforms for everything, meaning you can have a system that you can't get kicked off of. At least in social media, you can set it up so all the content resides on various different points around the world, and it's not on one centralized place, and there's not one place where you can go and get all that content, and therefore it's out of reach of the prying eyes. It's harder, though, to do that with e-commerce because you actually have to ship the goods from one place. They haven't figured out how to decentralize the shipment of paper towels to your house and have them reassembled when they get to your house. So e-commerce, in a way, is the way that they know where you live, they know how much you spend, and a lot of your products, well, they may be digital like music and movies, things that are physical that you need, they cannot make in digital form yet. You can't sit on a digital chair, you can't eat digital food, so they have to ship that too. And the danger is, if you need it and you're deplatformed from one of those, And there could come a day when there's only 4 or 5 places online that you can buy stuff. And it's inconceivable now that that's the case. It may not be that one day it's all Amazon, but one of the things that could cause that is this recent ruling that you have to charge tax on when people sell products into other states. Now the issue there is Amazon doesn't like to do it, but Amazon's big enough that it can create the systems so that it can in effect collect taxes in 50 states and hire build the software and hire the accountants and the attorneys to deal with all the states. But that gives them an advantage. Trump was thinking that Amazon's is putting all the small companies out of business because it's not people who buy from Amazon don't have to pay tax. Okay, but now when you say every company has to charge tax wherever they sell stuff, the smaller companies can't figure out how to do that right away. They may go out of business, and in effect, this law that now allows states to collect tax may indeed help Amazon. So the companies, I think, that are in the position really to control your data and in effect perhaps your life are the payment systems and the e-commerce companies, not the social media companies. And they could, I don't see how, if people really were upset about Facebook and Twitter, they could move. They can get off of it tomorrow. The content providers, they can get off it tomorrow and go somewhere else. They just don't do it. And the reason they don't do it is it's not, as I say, it's not that big of a deal yet. All right, let's see what some of the comments are. Those are just preliminary thoughts based on reading this Rakuten announcement here. But they're talking about the role of cryptocurrency-based payments in e-commerce, offline retail, and P2P payments will grow in the future. In order to provide cryptocurrency payment methods smoothly, we believe it's necessary for us to provide a cryptocurrency exchange function. We've been considering the entry into this. So also this ties into the idea. If you think they're going to ban cryptocurrencies, they're going to outlaw cryptocurrencies, no way. This is what they're trying to do. There's huge money in this. Rakuten also has a streaming service. They want to be able to use these things, buy your stuff online, use cryptocurrencies, then if they can make trading revenues, that's great too. But there's too much big money now in all this crypto stuff, and also the cat is out of the bag. The souffle cannot be reheated. This is where the world is headed. The only thing that'll stop this is not banning it, is EMPs, where there's just no electricity, there is no ability to conduct things globally. Otherwise, the world is moving into a digital realm, and people can yell and scream, but it's not going to stop it. And they're trying to just regulate this stuff so they can move into this phase. You may not like it. I'm not necessarily in favor of it, but for people to tell you that these things are going away and they're going down and digital illusions of this and that, nonsense. That's the way the world is headed. And if you disagree, let's see what you have to say in the comments here. All right. Kevin Phelps says, hello, mug stackers. Mugmen for short. Yes, indeed. We have a small crew tonight. A little smaller than normal. That's Friday night. And probably tomorrow night will be a bit small too. Social scoring, here we come, says Tom. That's unfortunate. And you know, social scoring is easier when it's done online. And people claim, you know, it's interesting. All the people complaining about Bitcoin and complaining about Facebook and Twitter, where are they doing it? They're doing it online. The people that are selling you gold and silver and complaining, they sell it to you online. Their businesses are online. It's not like they're living some pastoral off-grid where they're mining the silver and they're stamping the stuff themselves, and you've got to ride your horse over there to get it. No, you hear them on YouTube, and then you go onto their website, and you electronically order, which is all trackable and traceable, and you order gold and silver from them. And then they ship it to you, and they know everyone knows where you live. Everyone knows where you live, but I mean, That's all discoverable. It's not any type of private transaction. And if the internet were to go away, then so would their YouTube channel and so would their business. So I don't get this whole against digital illusions, all this, I don't like the internet. You're using the modern day technology, and that's why it's taking off. And cryptocurrencies are nothing more than an extension of an online economy that everyone wants. You may say you don't want the downsides of it, but that's not stopping you from listening to this tonight or listening to anything else that you listen to on YouTube, or from buying. It's almost an oxymoron. You're buying gold and silver online. Just think through that. Oh, but I'm preparing. No, you're building out the quote, like the ecosystem, the online ecosystem, by buying stuff online, using a credit card. Oh, I use a check. Doesn't matter. Well, you can use Bitcoin to buy it. The idea is we're already well past the idea of churning your own butter and generating your own electricity, minting your own coins, and bartering. So that's where this is headed. Now, there are dangers in it. I'm fully aware of them. That's why I'm saying that the danger is now that these companies now join together and merge with each other, meaning the e-commerce companies, the social media companies, the payment systems, and the search engines, and now they've got you. The fact that you're buying gold and silver online isn't going to stop any of this. I don't understand. It's almost like it's a delusion to think, oh, I'm not going to get into this digital illusion stuff. I'm going to buy gold and silver online. Okay. I really, it's almost comical to think that. Yes, Tom Manley says, bought PMs before there was an internet. Of course. But if you're not still doing that, then there's no difference, because when you buy something online, doesn't matter whether it's gold, silver, or a digital movie, there's a digital record that you bought it. The privacy is gone. And if they wanted to, quote, confiscate gold and silver, well, all they'd have to do is subpoena the records of the gold and silver sellers, and they'd find out exactly who bought what, how much, and when they bought it. And then you just go to your house and take it. Not saying they're going to do that, but the idea that somehow buying gold and silver online makes you immune to all these digital horrors, it doesn't. All right, let's see the comments here. Social all is one. Hello, how are you? Fernando Ortega is back. Good to hear. Exactly. Online money for an online economy. That is what cryptocurrencies are. Gold and silver are to have something physical in case the online money doesn't work. But it is 100% impracticable to go online to buy something and then say, well, okay, I'm going to send you now in the post, or I'm going to come over to your place of business and deliver to you the gold and silver. We've talked also about this, is that is inconvenient, and that's why even with whatever the downsides are of not using physical specie for money, the benefits outweigh it. It's the same with, it's far more, you would never have plane crashes. You would never have had 9/11 if people just put their foot down and said, the hell with this. We are not going to go away from the horse, because horses have been transportation for 5,000 years, period, and they always will be. We're not flying anywhere. Screw that. And the same with those cars. They're dangerous. They pollute. I don't think people fully understand that anyone who rides in a plane is a traitor to the horse. Just like anyone who uses the internet is a traitor to gold and silver. That's ridiculous thinking. When I hear people say that, it's almost like they've become married to an asset and thinking that it's it. That's it. Gold and silver are money, period. They will always be, period. Okay, let's see. We got a little comment here from Code. Let's see what he says. Using your argument, then going to the bank and cashing the check is the same thing. They will know you are and how much cash was drawn, so they could just go to your house and take the cash. Absolutely. Because the bank already has laid the groundwork because there's a banking system. And that's right, the banking system, if it's in the banking system, whether it's a check or anything else, they can, or your credit card or your debit card, that's right, they do know what you do. Now, that's the difference with the cryptocurrencies. What they are, in some instances, are people don't understand this. They keep saying, oh, it's all CIA and they can find it anyway. Not necessarily. Now, I'm not trying to advise people how to avoid detection. However, you can avoid detection more. That's why they have all this dark web stuff online with cryptocurrencies. That's exactly how it works. And so, Code says, so there really is no off-grid financial system. No, not. I mean, even the privacy coins are on a grid. You're absolutely right, like the Monero and those types of things. The only thing that's off the grid, is if you have your own ecosystem, meaning you have a community where you can go across to Ted and bring him eggs, and he'll come over and fix your porch. And you can run a barter system, and then you can develop your own system locally with, you can use whatever you wish. It could be silver coins or whatever. But that's not how people operate today. There's too many things that they're relying on to get that they need an international or at least a domestic payment system. So buying stuff, the issue I'm having with all this is that somehow people think that the cryptocurrencies are the bad guy. They're not. The system is already there. The cryptocurrencies, in a way, try to evade on the same grounds, the internet, the system, by creating an alternative ecosystem. And what the current financial system is doing, in my mind, is trying to co-opt that and bring it into the system. So you make money on Bitcoin. Well, if you're trading on the Rakuten Everybody's Bitcoin platform, it's all going to be in there anyway. So it's not really outside the system because you're going to buy stuff from us. We have to know your customer. The only thing that would be away from that would be decentralized platforms, peer-to-peer platforms. But those are much harder to get off the ground. And the reason is, it's the same reason why you don't see people leaving Facebook and Twitter. They like to bitch and complain about it. People love the convenience. So they don't care. And that's why I think that the whole crypto space, other than for criminals and tax evaders and launderers, are going to, quote, submit. And they're going to, if they do buy cryptocurrencies, they're going to buy them through the normal regulated exchanges, and they are going to spend them on all the regular places. But the idea that some people think when they're online, bitching and complaining about internet slavery and mark of the beast, and they're using it. They're not offline. They're not sending you handwritten notes. They're not using a ham radio. They're not sending a telegraph. They're actually using the entire system, which they claim is enslaving humanity, but they're using it. So in a sense, they're enslaving themselves by using it, if that's what they actually think. Bingo. The banking system is our master. Yes, see, the other day when I went through the cashless society, I was pointing out how way before we got digital, the control systems were in place. With the taxation, with the automatic deductions from your, excuse me, from your paycheck, the Social Security, all the things that they've done with cash, the limiting of cash. It's not, all digital does is it makes it easier to implement the banking system and the control system. But what cryptocurrencies do, they don't become the system that's going to make it easier for them. They already have that. The cryptocurrencies were designed to be outside of the system, but outside of the system on the digital playing field. I think the people miss that. They assume that they were created to control. I don't think so, because they already have that control in the banking system, the SWIFT system, the digital system. It's already there. Your bank account is already digital. It's not like you needed Bitcoin to go digital. Everything is already there. So I view the cryptocurrencies as they were set up to be outside the system and to be a separate ecosystem. The people that believe that think it's going to end central banking. I disagree. I think it's all going to be rolled into the existing ecosystem, as you will, and it won't change. Well, I don't think, Walter, I don't think cryptos are simply a more efficient way to control us. I don't think so, because I think they already have the banking system, the digital banking system, the credit cards, all the payment systems. The cryptos don't actually make it easier. They make it harder because they're in cryptography. What will make it easier is what they're worried about is that those cryptocurrencies end up being used outside of the regulated platforms, the places where you're supposed to shop, the places that how you're supposed to have everything tracked and traced. All right. Tom Manley, hand to hand is still off the system. That's right. But buying silver and gold online, it's almost an oxymoron. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do. If you're buying it and you think, excuse me, that you're sticking it to the man, you're not. You're just making the silver or gold seller rich because they're getting fiat currency out of it. Local community is the future if you want to avoid slavery. Well, yeah, and then the question is, if you were to go to a barter system in a local community, your standard of living as defined by today's world would go down. Your quality of life may go up, but clearly your standard of living is going to go down. You'd have to cut your phone, you'd have to cut your... You really would. I mean, otherwise, you're going to be part of the grid. But if that's what people want to do, how come they're not doing it? They're not doing it. They're complaining online about doing it. That's why I laugh when people, they say all this stuff, but they don't do it. They make YouTubes about it, but most of them aren't doing it. I do know one guy who actually, we should have him back on. He went off for a year. He built his own house, and he lived off the grid. Very, very interesting, but it requires tremendous resourcefulness. Most of us couldn't do it. And most of us don't want to do it. We want to complain about doing it. That's the interesting thing. James Walker, barter. But you see, barter is the sign of a primitive society. The reason money was invented was to avoid barter. And the original money was gold and silver. And that created a big boom in commerce. And a boom in commerce means more people work, more people have more money, more goods and services get created, and the standard of living goes higher. In barter, your standard of living goes down. Because if all you have is a cow, and no one, your next door neighbor or no one around you wants it, then you got to drag the cow somewhere to find a place where somebody is going to give you money for the cow. And what money are they going to give you? What if they only have 25, 50 cords of wood? Well, now you're going to have to bring your horses with you, or a car or something, in order to sell the cow to get the wood. See, it's not very effective to have a barter system. Barter is only what you do today in an emergency. You don't want to barter because the economy slows down. Money actually creates a better economy. And that's what Fernando Ortega was talking about, was if the internet speeds up commerce, that's actually, in pure economic terms, a good thing. A good thing in that more goods and services will be created, more people will try to create products and services so they can sell it to you. Think about this. I would not do this broadcast if I had to stand on my porch and start talking. No one would be here. I would not draw a crowd, I would draw flies. The fact that a minor YouTube guy like myself can have 3,000 people that are interested enough around the world to listen shows that it's actually a good thing in many respects that you have this interconnectivity. What people are doing is they're complaining about the downsides while benefiting from the fact that they can complain about the downsides on the system. So it's all a matter, I think, here's an example I use. Do you think that the Native Americans were happy when the European settlers came and they had guns? You think that the Native Americans thought, The first thing they probably thought was, those guns are bad, okay? Guns are bad. They probably definitely thought guns are bad. But then they also realized that the bow and arrow probably wasn't good either. So what did the Native Americans want to do? They wanted to get the guns. That's just natural. You need to step up. The guns were going to help them try to ward off the European settlers when they had disputes. Now, I view it's the same thing with the digital age. You don't want to say, well, the Indians could have said, well, we're just going to go away and we're just going to try to stay away and we're going to go over here and they'll leave us alone. The world was coming for them, so they couldn't do that, so they had to get guns. Now, it's the same thing in the digital world. You really can't run away from it. You really have to, I think, if you have a problem with the digital system, you have to create digital solutions. The digital solutions are such that you may, if you somehow need to be off the grid, you need to find digital solutions off the grid. Retreating isn't going to work. And the people that are online telling you to retreat, they're not retreating because they're not on their porch with a bullhorn saying what they want to say. They're on YouTube channels with hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I don't know, maybe they don't know this or they haven't thought about this. They're too impressed with their own wisdom. I don't know what it is. But they're online. Everything they're doing is online. They're making money online. Everything they've done is tracked and traceable. All right, let's see what else we got. CMEs and commerce way. See, if you think Walden primitive is better, that's fine. That's a choice that you can make. And I got to get this guy back on who actually did this. It is fascinating. People always complain about everything. Well, that is true. And the internet allows you the ability to complain and have more people listen to you than ever before. Think about it. 30 years ago, you had a problem. They used to say, what they used to say? Call someone who cares. Right? Now you don't have to call anybody. You can go online. Well, thank Esper Hunter. Yes, he says, action rangers were usually so well trained with their bows and often are able to match, sometimes outperform, their gun-wielding rivals. But point taken. Yeah, that's just an analogy. It probably doesn't work. But the point being is they needed an equalizer. And I'm sure, I don't know anything, you watch movies. But yes, if you can use a bow and arrow, that's fine. And if it works just as good. But the idea is if there is a superior technology, you do need to get it. You can't complain that you don't like the advent of that new technology, just like the plane and just like the car. You can't sit around and say horses are transportation, period. And that's what people are doing with the gold and silver. They're saying gold and silver are money, period. They're not. They no longer serve as currency. That doesn't mean, I always say that doesn't mean they're not worth. Horses are still valuable and gold and silver are still valuable. But I can't expect people to think that they're going to start trading in gold and silver again. They may do these types of gold money type things, blockchain. Well, that's all possible. But to think that you're going to use your gold and silver to trade, other than in emergencies, so silver could be a very good barter item. No two ways about it. In Venezuela, in Puerto Rico, because the lights go out, you don't have the internet. What's the next best thing? Well, what did you have before you had the internet? And before you had cheap fiat currencies and clad coins, you had silver, and there was value in it. So, yes, barter silver makes sense, but chances are that's a short-term solution. It's not a way to get rich. It is. A lot of people say it's to protect yourself. It's insurance. Sure. But people are buying to get rich. I don't understand that. You want to get rich, you got to speculate. You don't go backwards. Speculation means that you buy stuff that's a flyer. You buy some cryptocurrency that may one day get used somewhere. You buy some biotech stock that may one day figure out how to make hair grow again on your head. You buy a speculative stock that's got a new way of solving a problem that if it actually does solve the problem, then maybe it's going to make a lot of money. You don't buy gold and silver to get rich because JP Morgan has it whatever other nonsense peddling story they're telling you. Gold and silver are their insurance, their assets. They don't have the risk of... See, everything I just mentioned to you relies on someone doing something, someone figuring out something, someone innovating, someone getting lucky. Gold and silver don't require any of that. They just are. And that's the difference. And if something just is, you really can't expect it to go skyrocketing. All it can do is go higher versus the devaluation of everything else around it. All right, let's see. Walden Tree, prepare for the post-high technology world or don't. It doesn't matter. Yes, I think there may be a post-high technology world. And that is where you should be prepping and you should have your insurance. But that's not a way of getting rich. That's a way of... like you don't get rich when your house burns down. You have insurance. But you're not going to get rich. You're going to be better off than if you didn't have insurance. Doug, Schiff is mad because he probably has 10 to 25 million in gold and is underwater. I don't understand. I mean, I do understand it because I was totally against Bitcoin when it first came out. I'm still against it. But the thing is, me being against it isn't going to stop anything. If you think you go online and you complain about the mark of the beast, and that's not going to do anyone any good. Unless, again, as Walden Tree says, if you actually can get yourself out of the system, that's fine. But to have 1 foot in and 1 foot out and actually be harmed by the foot being out, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, that's right. Chip's probably a gold seller, not a gold hoarder. I doubt, I mean, who knows what he has, but I doubt that every dollar that you send him for his commissions, that he turns it into gold. I'm sure, I would doubt he would do that. If you heard to buy on CNBC, guaranteed it's too late and the Bulls paid for that coverage. Yeah, that's financial TV. Him being a gold seller actually furthers my point. Esper Hunter, do you not believe that gold and silver is money backing our currency, whether fiat or crypto is currently imminent? Nope. They're the last thing that politicians and central banks ever want to do is back anything. Why? Because they want their promises to be able to be made without any hindrance. And the problem with anything that's backed is you always have to have a certain amount of stuff back. Now you would say, well, when we have a collapse, then people are going to demand that we have some type of restraint again. I don't think so, because we already had a collapse in 2008. And all they did was just print up more money and paper it over. Who knows what the future brings? But what I do know is that the further and further we get away from having had people in their lives ever transact in silver, meaning silver coins, most people, anyone under 60 has never done it. They never saw it. They don't know what silver is. The only people who know anything about silver are the people who watch the YouTube channels, and they're a minimum number of people. And they're not the most influential. They're not the richest people in the world. So the average person and the people that are influential and wealthy, they have no connection at all to gold or silver in their life, in their education, in their training, in their positions. They don't think gold and silver. So when there's a collapse, as there was in 2008, nobody that I know of, there was no groundswell at the people level to bring back gold and silver standard, and at the top levels there clearly was no groundswell to change. There was no debate that we had to have gold and silver. So I don't think they'll be forced to, because that's not on their mind. So I think that's the mistake when they tell you that people will clamor for gold and silver. They always have. Yeah, they always have, because they always had it. But no one in the current system, remember, most of the people running the world today, other than Soros and a few other, they're young people. They're not, I say young, most of them are they're under 65. You really have to be 65 or older to have any real life monetary experience with precious metals on a day-to-day basis. And so all those people, they don't, and they don't think about it. So I think governments might be, why would they be, who would force them? That's my point, Esperanto. Who would force these people to use gold and silver? Why would they be forced? If they're running everything, who's going to force them? They were running everything last time the system collapsed. They didn't do anything. If they think they can print their way out, that's what they're going to do. They've managed to change what valuable is. Look at the stock market goes up. They managed to pump the stock market up largely on companies that, forgetting normal PE ratios, companies now that just have revenues and no earnings, they will make up a big portion of the big cap companies. That never would have happened 40, 50 years ago. Trust in all large systems will soon collapse. Well, I don't think so. I think it'll collapse when, not when the trust, I don't think the trust will collapse unless the system collapses, and then I don't think the system will collapse unless the trust collapses. But why would it collapse? People have a vested interest in believing that it's going to be there. That's what holds the whole thing up. And even when you have a gold standard, the problem with a gold standard is you have to trust that the government's going to do the right thing. Okay? Did Nixon do the right thing in 1971? No, one guy decided, hey, screw this. No more gold standard. So I would have no confidence whatsoever, Esper Hunter, and Walden Tree, if they brought back a system where now it was backed by gold and silver, I would say no way. I don't believe it. And they will move off of that system as soon as it didn't serve their purposes. And that's the problem. Who has trust in our system? Doug, weak investors base investment or speculation of the future. I'm losing my point here. On what happened in the past. Yes, that's the horses are transportation, period. Horses have been transportation for 5,000 years, period. Well, okay, period, full stop. What does that mean? The real estate market in Detroit in the 1950s was incredibly good. That was $4,000 for a house. Absolutely. Detroit was always the best place, always, for a few decades to raise a family, and then it became a asshole, right? Just because it was high in the past doesn't mean it always will be. Right. The idea that people keep clinging on to the historic use of gold as money, that doesn't mean... People always choose the faster and more convenient. If you go through the reasons why gold was used as money or silver is used as money, you'll see that the reason it's not used as a currency anymore is it may be valuable, it may be fungible, it may be desired, it may be, I can't think of all the different qualities of money, but the main one that it doesn't meet anymore is it's not really easy to transact in, not in today's world, because you have to ship it, and it's not as easy as a digital money. All right. Walden Tree. Without the money motivation, most social relationships will quickly break down. That's a very astute point. Yep. That's very true. And you can look at that with divorce rates and the breakdown of morals and so on. Women in the workforce. I mean, that's an entirely different thing. But the main reason that you didn't have divorce, other than moral reasons or reasons of religion, was that the economic unit, the people had to stay together. The woman couldn't just take off and go somewhere. And it's the same reason why you had extended families. They were all economically joined together. I was under the impression China recently started having gold-backed currencies, pushing their citizens to buy PMs wouldn't that pressure other countries. No. First of all, China is a very odd situation. China doesn't have any gold-backed currency. China is a massive debt monster. The entire Chinese economy runs on debt, and most of it's dollar-denominated debt. Anyone who tells you that they're backing their currency with gold is just making it up. They did tell their citizens, though, to buy precious metals. I mean, gold is an asset. China's buying a lot of assets. If there are websites about zinc and copper, they buy a lot of stuff. And they want their citizens to have gold. Why? Because China's a communist country. belongs to, in not in theory, but in fact, whatever you own in China belongs to the communist government. So they do want to have a lot of assets. They do want to have a lot of gold. But they don't have, I did a chart on this, nowhere near the amount of gold as they have in value that they have in debt. So their gold is nice to have, and as long as everybody thinks the debt is fine and no one's worried about it, then they also have the benefits of having the gold. But if everyone starts worrying about the debt, that gold isn't enough to help them. SB100, I'm new, so these are genuine questions. No, I understand. I'm not, when I analyze this stuff, it's not to make a point, it's just to give you my point of view. And a lot of times when people ask questions, sometimes they're trying to make a point, and sometimes they're asking a genuine question. I just generally try to answer the question. Doug, not trying to beat up on you. Esper, super sorry if it comes across that way. No, we're all friends here. No one's trying to... Look, no one has the answers. I don't have the answer. Just because I'm the one who's on who you're hearing doesn't mean I know anything. It just means you can judge for yourself whether I'm making sense, or you can discard what I'm saying. I'm new too, says Doug. Walden Tree, what do you mean by social? You can have that conversation. That's a very interesting. Yep. I think Tom is summing it up. Gold is insurance to keep your assets during bad economic times. And some of those assets, Tom, maybe all of them, other than a house, may be in digital form. What's your outlook on Bitcoin short term? Sorry if that's been answered. Just got here. I don't. And the other thing about this channel, I don't give investment advice. I don't make predictions on where things are going. I'm trying to look at everything macro. But the one macro thing I'm looking at is I'm just seeing the amount of human capital and financial capital that's moving into the crypto space. Whether I like it or not, someone's trying to tell me, you've lost integrity because you've gone over to the crypto side, or you're a traitor to some... I don't even know what that means. That's just nonsense. I'm not married to gold and silver. I'm not married to cryptos. I could care less. I mean, I want to understand them. I don't want to attach myself to the hip to anything. But I do see, and whether the world has gone crazy or not, it's not really for me to say they're doing it. There's so many projects out there, so much venture capital. This is the thing we started the show off tonight. Rakuten buying a crypto exchange, Yahoo adding Bitcoin, Litecoin to its platform. There's so much work being done, and in a way, things other than even gold and silver are partially valued because of the work it requires to get them out of the ground and refine them and make them into coins. So when people are doing work, now they could be doing work and they could be spinning their wheels and don't expect to get paid for that. That's exactly what I thought cryptocurrency was when I first saw it. I said, okay, I get it. I read the white paper and I said, you run around, you do this, you do that, and at the end it spits out a coin. And I said, but it is just a bunch of numbers, so why did you go through all that work? And the way I looked at it originally was, you can pay me to run around the block 100 times, but why would anybody pay me to run around the block 100 times? It doesn't make any sense to me. But the point is, it doesn't have to make sense to me. People actually value the stuff that comes out of the computers. To me, it's insanity, but that's how it works. So you could say cryptos are going to zero. I don't think so. They're still working on them. They're considering integrating, they already have in many respects, into the payment systems. So they're actually paying. But then what really got me over to realize over the hump is, when you send fiat currencies over the system, you're not sending anything either, other than some symbolic value of the work that's done. And now there's all this work that's being done in the crypto space. And the one thing I do like about it more than the fiat currencies is the fiat currencies can be expanded at will. And like they did in India, they can just take them away from you and say, okay, well, those bills are not worth anything. They can't do that with cryptocurrencies. So that's another difference. All right. Yes, it's a massive shift to cryptos, but that's what the system wants. It's not just what the system wants. It's what the people want. They always go for the faster, quicker, more convenient solution. People didn't want cars. They didn't want planes. They loved their horses, or so they said. But as soon as they realize, oh, I have an advantage. I can go somewhere. I can go 30 miles away from my home on a picnic with my family. Can't do that with the horses. It's just too much of a nuisance, and we wouldn't get there in time, and we wouldn't be able to come back in a day. People like the idea of the convenience, the speed. Doesn't matter if it's more dangerous. Doug, I really believe that cryptos are beginning to have infrastructure needed for semi-mass scale adoption. And you know how many people are working towards making that happen and how much money is being thrown at that? Far more than is being thrown at trying to make gold and silver money again. It's astounding to me that people think that you're going to be walking around with silver coins in your pocket again and buying stuff. It's not. Would I rather that? Of course, but that's not the way the world is. The world doesn't work the way I say it works. I'd rather we were riding horses. It's much more fun than going to the airport and getting on a plane. But then again, I never would have been overseas if there was not airplanes. I imagine the value of gold will collapse when the system goes down. Everybody's trying to trade their shiny shit for real goods. I don't know. That's an interesting point, Walden Trade. Who knows what happens to the price of... it depends on how much the system goes down. Locally, I think the gold and silver go up. If it's the entire system, that's worthless to have gold and silver. The gold and silver would be only worth something a few months in as everything started to come back to normal, because then you could still use it. But the first things you're going to need if any system collapses is not gold and silver. It's all your essential things that you need to live. Water, food, shelter, protection, not gold and silver. Doug, I'm a web developer and attended a tech conference this year where we had a speaker who had a blockchain company with a token. And there's so many people like that. And so many people thinking and working and doing all these projects. Yeah, some of them are wasting their time and they'll never amount to anything. But when you have human innovation at a particular sector, which you have in cryptocurrencies, you don't have it in gold and silver. And one of the reasons is you can't improve on gold and silver. It's already been there. It's God's money. It's there. And what else are you going to do with it? You can't make it better. My issue with gold is the dollar collapses. People won't be buying gold. They'll be buying food. Yep. You trade it for food. Correct. Why would anyone want gold when they have no food? Yeah, Venezuela. Exactly. In fact, you know what they're doing? Here's something interesting in Venezuela. I read about this. They're actually mining cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and Litecoin. And they're trying to find rivers with gold in it. But it's probably more feasible that they can actually make money in today's world enough to live off of by mining the cryptocurrencies. Farmers will have the food at your location. That will be the issue. That's right. Let's see. Farmers will be robbed by the mob of hungry city folks. Yeah, and then they won't have food after the first week because who's gonna continue to work the farm? Farmers have guns. American farmers. Okay, let's see. I'm Canadian. Our gun laws are prehistoric. Luckily, I'm dual, so if the blank hits the fan, I'm off to Montana. Esper Hunter. We got to wrap it up here. Let's see. Oh, we're over an hour. Americans own over 40% of the guns in the world, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, there's more than, I think it's 1.2 or 1.4 guns per person. And it's not the city folks buying and using them. That's correct. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. I hope that was of interest. I didn't prepare it. I just spoke off the cuff because normally I try to spend a half an hour or so and come up with a topic and some charts. But I just saw this article. Thought I'd speak off the cuff. I may have to go back and listen to it to see if I was making any sense. But maybe we'll revisit this topic at another point. So I want to thank everyone for listening tonight. And we'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Also consider subscribing to this channel, but also going over to BitChute and subscribing there at Minds.com as well. Gab, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and also at smallgold.com. That's the best place to subscribe. And also consider getting your Small Gold mug. I'll ship them out on Monday. Monday I will ship out the Super Classic and Classic mugs. They come directly from Small Gold headquarters. The other Small Gold items that you see on your screen, they help the site out. You buy those. That's a travel mug is there, and the espresso mug, they come from the manufacturer. I do get a small commission on that. Or if you want to help out, you can help out by becoming a Small Gold patron, and I'll give you the link for that. Or you can donate via Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum or even PayPal. There's Patreon. And the rest of this stuff I'll put up right now. And we'll say goodnight. Thank you very much. Prepare, says Walden. No one can be criticized for preparing. No one. I could say there's the stuff about getting rich on gold and silver. I'll criticize that all day long, but no one should ever criticize anyone for preparing, knowing where the exits are, having food, having water. I don't know why anyone could criticize that. That's all right. That about does it. Thanks again, everyone.